Good evening, everyone. And before introducing the public hearing, I want to respectfully recognize the Coast Salish nations upon whose traditional territory we are located. I'm going to call the public hearing for Wednesday, April the 4th, 2018 to order, and I'm asking the corporate officer to introduce the public hearing process and the first item on the agenda, BYLAW 2000.112. Mrs. Kaler, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Local Government Act requires that a public hearing be held before Council adopts an amendment to a zoning bylaw or an official community plan bylaw. Copies of the Director of Community Planning's reports and related information respecting the subject amendment bylaws have been available for public examination at the offices of the Planning Department at the Parksville Civic and Technology Centre and on the City's website. At this public hearing, all persons who deem their interest in property affected by a proposed bylaw shall be afforded an opportunity to be heard on matters contained within the bylaw. Anyone wishing to be heard on a specific bylaw amendment must come to the microphone at the appropriate time and clearly give their name and civic address. Council members request that the speakers restrict discussion to the application on hand, which is the proposed use of the land. Members of Council may ask questions of persons after they have made their presentation. However, the main purpose of Council members this evening is to listen to the presentations and not to engage in debate. Whether you are for or against any particular bylaw during the course of a public hearing, Council respectfully requests that you not display any outbursts as a courtesy to all present this evening. No presentations or submissions will be received by Council on any application after the motion for termination of the public hearing for that application has been adopted. Lastly, when a public hearing item has been terminated, Council requests those persons wishing to leave the Council chambers do so in a quiet and orderly manner in order that the public hearing may commence with the next item on the agenda. This evening there are two items on the public hearing agenda. The first item is Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2018, number 2000.112. This bylaw proposes to amend the City of Parksville Zoning and Development Bylaw 1994, number 2000. In general terms, the purpose of the proposed amendment is to create a new zoning category for higher density multiple family residential developments and 4-story apartments. As of 4 p.m. on April 4th, 2018, no correspondence has been received in response to this application. The second item on tonight's public hearing agenda is Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2018, number 2000.113. This bylaw proposes to amend the City of Parksville Zoning and Development Bylaw 1994, number 2000. And in general terms, the purpose of the proposed amendment is to alter the zoning map from the single-family residential RS1 and medium-density residential RS2 zones to a residential high-density or RHD 4 zone in order to facilitate development of a 4-story apartment building on the lands currently located at 253, 259, 263, and 273 Dogwood Street in Parksville. As of 4 p.m. on April the 4th, 2018, no correspondence has been received in response to this application.
Thank you. I would like to invite anyone who would like to speak to come forward to the microphone and give their name and civic address for the record. This is for a first time. All these people and nobody wants to speak. Okay. For a second time, I'd like to invite anyone who would like to speak to come forward and give their name and civic address for the record. Thank you. You want to turn the microphone on, please? Just press the button. There's a black button there. There you go. And put the microphone, speaking to the microphone as closely as you can.
Okay.
Thank you.
How's that? My name is Kelly Seidner. I live at 415 Bay Avenue. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present my views. I also wish to recognize the people of the Coast Salish Nation and their traditional territory on which we gather. I wish to speak tonight regarding this matter and how, in my opinion, the traffic flow will be impacted. As I stated, I reside at 415 Bay Avenue, within the notification radius of this hearing. I question the fourth paragraph of the proposal in the analysis section, page 7 of 43. Here in the report, it's quoted as saying, "The traffic consultant concludes that the additional traffic from the proposed development will have minimal impact on the surrounding road network and that intersections will not be significantly impacted as a result of the proposed development." The facts in this matter are as follows. A traffic impact analysis is often done in accordance with the Institute of Transportation Engineers, and that's measured by a trip generation report from which I have available the data from their 8th edition. Quoting from that, it shows clearly that a single-family dwelling generates 10 trips per day. There are currently 4 households on the property that are under question, and that equals 40 trips per day, given the property's current use. The proposed amendment then takes that to 63 units. An apartment generates all of 6 trips per day per unit. The math on that is equal to 378 trips per day for the development under proposal. That takes that almost to a 10 times increase in the traffic flow in that immediate area. I'll repeat that. We're going from 40 trips per day currently to 378 per day from that development alone. Local street information in that area is as follows. Dogwood Street is 36.5 feet wide. Bay Avenue is 28 feet wide. Now, with new current parking signs added on one side, the simple math on that is that Dogwood is 33% wider than what Bay Avenue is. The current lighting situation has a traffic signal at the intersection of Bay and the Island Highway with no traffic signal at Dogwood. The ICBC data for the intersection at Bay and Island Highway report 18 accidents in a period between 2011 and 2015. The intersection at Dogwood and Island Highway report 8 accidents over the same period of time. I believe the ICBC data is inconclusive as it stands. However, on page 17 of the 43 in your documents that are in front of you today, the report from Rosa Telegas, the city development engineer, is quoted as saying, "The TIA was completed assuming 1 access, not 2. The traffic model should be rerun with 2 accesses. Also, the 2 accesses should be depicted in the civil engineering drawings. These driveways must conform to requirements of Traffic Bylaw Appendix A." It goes on to speak to the sight lines. You'll see that, as I said, on page 17 of your documents. I won't bore you with those details. I would like, however, to quote the final paragraph. The TIA states the conditions of the Dogwood Island and Island Highway intersection, the one I referred to earlier, are currently at a level of service E, which states poor condition. Conditions, plural. Although the proposed development will not make the level of service worse, upgrades to the intersection should be completed to improve the level of service at the intersection. Direction should be provided by the traffic engineer as to what these improvements are, and she offers up examples of right in, right out onto Dogwood, from Dogwood onto the Island Highway, or a left turn lane, turning left onto the Island Highway from Dogwood. To me, this indicates that changes are necessary. In discussion with yourself, Honorable Mayor, and with the city traffic technician, Fred Pacala, I confirmed that the costs of a traffic light are $270,000. That's approximate. I believe a traffic light at the corner, at the intersection of Dogwood and the Island Highway are warranted. If you will bear with me, I'd like to develop a business case around that. The development costs, as I can best determine, and I'm quoting from basically a report in 2016 on the construction cost guidelines produced by the Altos Group in Vancouver. They put the cost for construction at that time at $130 to $165 per square foot. Now that's Vancouver, it's not Vancouver Island. It's clearly not directly related to what we're talking of here, but I believe it provides an adequate guideline which essentially bring the development costs for this proposed amendment to approximately $6.6 million. In the proposed amendment, I question the $10.6 million value placed on the retail market value, and personally I place that at closer to $17.7 million. I base that on the following information. The Vancouver Island Real Estate Board, in their October 2017 sales report for the Parksville-Qualicum region, they showed 11 condo or apartment sales averaging $281,000. $281,000 times the 63 units equals $17.7 million. I'll go on with the property tax revenue increase, and that's taken directly from the financial impact statement, again in your documents in front of you, paragraph 3, page 8 of 43. The submitted appraisal estimates that the proposed development of the site will contribute annual tax revenues to the city of approximately $63,000, an increase of over $56,000 over the current $7,767 that the properties currently contribute with regard to their tax to the city. So in conclusion, I would like to point out it's my belief that there's plenty of money on the table between the city and the developer for the costs of that traffic signal. I ask the council to do what's right for the area. It costs $270,000 to install a traffic light. I think it is a reasonable ask to the council to require a light for the development to go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you. For the second time, anyone wishing to speak to this particular item, I need your name and your civic address.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Paul Reitsma, 410 Harnish in Parksville. 3 questions. One is a direct result of a phone call I got recently of a property owner who was concerned about a potential change of the property value. I noticed in the application that the land value has been downgraded from $1,043,000 to $835,000, and the person was quite concerned if it might reflect their properties as well, because it's been downgraded, the land value. If that could be some comments on that. Secondly, I looked at I understand 208 to 209, a similar proposal went into third reading, but because of the economic situation, it was withdrawn. I noticed from my own view when I looked at it, it looks kind of boxy. I don't think there's a lot of innovative architectural appeal, and I don't know if this is what the city would like to see, more kind of a boxy type rather than, some innovative appeal actually. Take some architectural strides forward. But particular item number 1, the devaluation or the reduction in property value from $1,043,000 to $835,000. People are concerned about that. I wonder if I could get an answer on that, or. Pardon me? Yeah, I don't know if it's the appropriate forum to get an answer, or if you get back to us later, or... No? Okay, that's it. Thanks.
I think I was heard. Phone's on. Button again. The red light comes on, you're on. There you go.
Okay. Well, this is the first council meeting I've ever been to, so you'll have to excuse me if I don't get things sort of the right way.
Nobody bites. Feel right at home. Need your name and your civic address, please.
Donald Menorgan, and I live at 283 Dogwood Street. I'm the last house on the block before Bay Avenue. And backing out of the driveway in the morning, sometimes a car will come around the corner from Equality in Bayside there. And so I wait for the car to go by. And by the time the car gets down to where I am, there's another car coming. I have to wait. With the increase in this traffic flow, that's going to be a nightmare, that whole area. Cars go off of Dogwood, mostly. They're off the Highway 19A, down Dogwood, and around, and they go across the down street. Where am I here? Bay Avenue to the right, or they go up Bay Avenue, they go off on Wisteria, they go off on Willow, they go off on Temple. It's an entrance that is mostly used for the area traffic. Now, with the increase in the traffic flow, if they put a four-way stop in that corner, for whatever reason, there'll be cars there. I won't be able to back out of my driveway. There's so much traffic that goes down that way. When they have fireworks for Halloween or in the summertime, those streets are all clogged with cars. You have ambulance or fire trucks that need to go down there. What are you going to do? Like, you don't have the room because of the width of the streets to park on either side, whether we're talking about Dogwood or Bay Avenue. There's so many big trucks that deliver goods to the Quality Inn there. There's courier trucks that go down there. There's garbage trucks that go down there. There's all sorts of commercial traffic. And if you're trying to, even now where they park cars on Bay Avenue, sometimes it's hard to get by when there's another vehicle coming down the other way. And that's now. That's not what potentially we're going to end up with in terms of the flow of traffic. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much for your comments. Okay, for a third and final time, I'd like to invite anyone to come forward to give their name and civic address. Third and final time.
Good evening.
evening. My name is Christine Rayner. I live at 262 Roscoe Street. So my concern this evening is the height of the property and the viewpoint from the balcony that's going to be on the rear facing end into essentially my backyard. So I have a third of an acre and it's all sort of green space in my backyard with a fence line. So we're concerned, secondly, of the drainage that's going to be put in. So we're concerned that already the back of the properties, myself and my neighbor, already is really wet at the back with sort of a ditch like at the very back of the property. So we're concerned that the drainage is taken care of in that sense. And I believe with the plans that we've looked at, it looks okay, but the height, I'm not sure. With it being a 4-story, the whole amendment is, it's hard to even get your perspective from my viewpoint looking out on my back deck to what I'm going to see. And I'm not sure if the development that just went into the one just by the old ambulance station on that street there backs onto those townhouses. It's kind of got the underground parking on the back as well. I'm wondering if that's kind of what to expect looking out into my backyard, and if there's people going to be from Mark to me in my backyard on their balcony, and now I have completely private on a cul-de-sac road. That would be my primary concern. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is, you'll have to excuse me for not following along with the project online, but our cul-de-sac being the Roscoe Street cul-de-sac, just want to ensure that that's going to stay a cul-de-sac, that there's not plans for any opening up with that traffic problem, making all the traffic kind of streamlining down our street.
There's no plans for, no.
Perfect. Okay. And the height, that's, how do I sort of gauge where the privacy is going to, I guess the elevation level and the equivalent to where it is on my property line?
Do you want to have something to say you'd like to say? Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did speak to that issue when the developer was here, actually. And if I recall, he stated they were going to be putting frosted glass on those areas, patios, so that people wouldn't be staring into the neighbors' backyards.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
The developers, that's what you're going to do there in the audience. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. Frosted glass. Okay. Thank you. Okay, on this particular item, for the third and final time, invite anyone that wants to come down and have a say. Yes.
I've never been to one of these before, but I'm a developer.
Would you come to the microphone, please, and give your name and civic address?
Sure. I'm at 254 Roscoe Street, and so we met with the developer at the Bayside Inn and submitted a whole bunch of questions. We filled out a bunch of forms about the property that's going up, and I'm just not sure if they're going to be brought up now with the developer or how that works, because he assured us that they'd be brought up at the next meeting and answered.
What do we do, Mrs. Comas?
Oh, okay. So is that what has been available with the planner then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Okay.
I was unaware of that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is going to be the third and final time. Your name and civic address, please.
Good evening. My name is Sean Vincent. I live at 1179 Anderton Road in Comox, and I'm the agent for the owners of the project. I'd like to thank Mayor and Council for having us here tonight, and just wanted to revisit some of the information that people have brought forward tonight. We did hear at the public open house some concerns about traffic. you know, when we do a development, we hire consultants to work with the city engineers to address a multitude of concerns, one of them being traffic, another one being, you know, engineering concerns. So to speak to the traffic concerns in the traffic report, there was a lot of back and forth with the city engineer, with the traffic consultants, to arrive at a point that we believed that the Parksville engineer was happy with. The lady that just brought up some of the concerns with the rear of the property, in the landscaping plan, there is actually a swale with drains in the back of the property to not only address our building needs, but also to address possible remedies for the neighboring properties with some of the runoff. A couple other things that we heard at the public open house. There were some concerns, and I think you guys may have been apprised of this today, and that was our faux pas with getting that information back to the planning department. But we've moved the garbage bins and the bike storage to the front of the property to mitigate, you know, the noise from the trucks coming and going, and also, you know, doors slamming from the enclosed bike storage. The other thing that I would just like to, I think most of the council members were here when we had the architect on February 19th. The owners of the property actually had the property to third reading on a similar style building in 2008. The project got shelved at that time, and there was economic you know, conditions didn't allow for them to move forward. The owners of these lands purchased one more lot and created the building that you see today. The people that are involved in the project, including myself, are all in the building industry. So there's been great lengths of pre-budgeting that have happened on this building in real time. One of the fellows actually works on buildings like this all over Western Canada, so we've had the luxury of his experience on what things cost. So the numbers that have been put forward with those estimates to council and the staff are real time on Vancouver Island costs. The other thing that you know, that the proponents are, that we're all sensitive to, is we've designed an efficient building in a good location to try to address the needs of the community when it comes to the rental situation that currently exists. So, you know, we have committed to certain things with the fire department, of course the DCCs and the upgrades to all the engineering requirements that we have to do that are for this project, but also, you know, the properties that surround, you know, that section of Parksville. So, you know, we feel that we've had a good working relationship with the planning department, and we've addressed a variety of, you know, concerns and issues. We are trying to keep everything sensible as far as the economics, so that we can offer at the end of the day a product to the general public that people, you know, can actually come and rent and live in. I'm happy to take any questions. But we are grateful to be working here in the town of the city of Parksville. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thanks very much. So I'm going to move on unless anybody has any questions. We're going to continue. This is another bylaw which is directly related to this. So on that note, I'm going to ask for a motion to terminate the public hearing for the Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2018, number 200112. Moved by Councillor Beale, seconded by Councillor Burton. All those in favor? Thank you. All right. Once again, Mr. Keeler, would you introduce the second item on the agenda, which is Bylaw 200113.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this bylaw is to amend the Zoning and Development Bylaw 1994, number 2000, by altering the zoning map from the single-family residential RS1 and medium-density residential RS2 zones to the residential high-density RHD4 zone, in order to facilitate development of a 4-story apartment building on the lands currently located at 253, 259, 263, and 273 Dogwood Street.
So on this particular bylaw, I would like to invite anyone for the first time to come forward to the microphone and give your name and address and give us your comments. First time. Okay, for a second time, I'd like to invite anyone who'd like to speak to come forward and give your name and address. Finally, for a third time and a final time, I'd like to invite anyone who'd like to come forward to speak to give your name and civic address. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to ask for a motion to terminate the public hearing for Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2018, number 2000.113. Moved by Councillor Salter, seconded by Councillor Beale. All those in favor? Thank you. I'd like to advise the public that once the public hearing is adjourned, Council cannot entertain further submissions or correspondence from the public on the proposed bylaw. So now, at the conclusion of the public hearing, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn the public hearing. Do I have a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Councillor Burton, seconded by Councillor Salter. All those in favor? Thank you. We are adjourned. And on that note, I'd like to welcome everybody.